Well, thank you, Marty. This is a very important topic, transportation. It's one of a handful of areas where I work here at AIS. And transportation, as it relates to the aspect of caregiving, is very important. Just transportation alone for any individual is critical, whether you get mobility and transportation through public transportation services, or as opposed to driving your own car. Naturally, all through life, we have to be able to find ways to get where we need to go. As a person is aging, obviously, they continue to drive for many years. Many older people drive well and safe to advanced years. Senior safe driving is a topic, though, that is coming about more and more because of the fact that statistically we do know that traffic accidents are the second killer of seniors. Non-disease related injuries, falls of course is first, traffic accidents is second. So it's worthy of our attention. It's worthy of planning and maybe programming to offer ways to solve the solutions of driving in old age, which can be risky. Older people get into traffic accidents and they don't walk away. A younger person can be in the same accident and they can rebound and walk away. So senior safe driving is kind of the topic, but it leads to some decisions as to when should an older person opt out, and there is no magical age for that. It really is something that as an individual we want people to be able to come to their own decision and self-direct to opt out or to enhance their skills to be a better driver, as we all should throughout life continue to be conscious of how to be a better driver. But as a caregiver, I think pertinent to the audience is when a caregiver is noticing that their loved one is not driving safely or as well as they used to be, it may be that sort of hinge gate when you begin to realize, I'm a caregiver because I'm concerned about their driving. It may be that portal where you've been concerned about a number of things, but it is the one topic where you feel compelled to either have a conversation or to take some kind of action to intervene, to protect your loved one. And you start exploring with that person to what degree are they aware of their own limitations? What are the telltale signs? Increased traffic tickets, or maybe a fender bender, or when do you get into this conversation? And it's different for everybody. But just in an overview, that individual who is aging, even I think over the age of 55, there are certain insurance advantages for having taken a senior safe driving course. The AARP offers mature driving courses, and through passage of that, accomplishment of that, I think there's some insurance advantages, discounts on your premiums for having accomplished that. But that's an interesting pathway because throughout that, one can take a look at themselves and realize a few things that maybe at this point I should just exit out of the car, driving, and find another way to get around. Or my skills have improved, the degree to which I'm more adjusted in my car, I'm more alert, I'm better aware of laws, I can continue to drive for another several years and be safe. But a lot of times people will find new things about themselves and decide, I need to probably stop driving. And that's great when a person can make that sort of self-decision. It's not great when at the DMV the license is being yanked because they're not passing certain kinds of tests. And I believe it's over the age of 90. I didn't mean to say 90. It's over the age of, I think, 70. There's requirements for a personal visit into the DMV. There's changes coming with California laws to tighten up the testing, and it's not a good experience to be stranded at the DMV and know that from there forward maybe that was your last trip you took, was your drive to the DMV. But as a caregiver looking at a situation where you may need to intervene, that first conversation you're beginning to have with your loved one is kind of testing to see whether or not they're operating in an appropriate sense of reason about themselves. Are they reasoning with you? Are they listening to you about your concerns? Or are they driven by personal determination that nothing's going to stop me from driving? And so that's kind of what you're doing as you're assessing whether or not you have a listening ear on that side of the conversation. If that personal determination is what you're hearing, it would be great if that drive and determination can be channeled back into that safe senior assessment, mature driving type environment, where if they can be just as determined to humble themselves to a situation where they can be looked at and tested, and that's a good way to channel that. But you may not be able to get that to come about, in which case if you find that it's getting to be unreasonable, you may feel through what you sense and your judgment of others around you about what intervention needs to take place. Does the spouse need to start driving? Or does a family member need to immobilize the car? Or, then you have to struggle with, are we going to be upfront about the things that we are doing, or are we just going to somehow pretend that the engine won't start? So every family has its own culture, but I think the more direct and upfront you can be with somebody, the more you're continuing to connect with the sense of reason and responsibility and safety. And it's not just about you out there driving to be safe, it's also now about other people's safety and other people's property, that appealing to a sense of integrity and responsibility beyond your own car and your own self. So the intervention strategy, it's probably a whole other topic of the how-to, but if you can actually then get into this discussion and some agreement that there needs to be another alternative, the big obstacle in people's minds is, well, what's going to take the place of me driving behind the wheel? I'm going to lose my independence. So there has to be some options and some solutions that come in right away to think about what's going to take the place. And then that's where you need to have some ideas and some resources about, will public transportation work? Riding the trolley or riding the coaster here in San Diego County, those are great options. They're also fun, it's kind of sounding and can be fun. Catching the train, catching the trolley, it becomes a little more maybe taxing to figure out bus schedules and which corner to stand on, or where, to what works with where you live. People who live in more rural areas, there may not be bus service. Even suburban areas aren't necessarily going to have a bus right there at the nearest corner. Is it hilly? So how one negotiates to getting to a bus stop can be a challenge. One of the options that I have found is the greatest transition away from driving yourself is the volunteer driver programs that are springing up and that have been around in San Diego County for a while. There's a little over a handful of these in different parts of the county, and I can't name them all here, but our call center at AIS with the 1-800-510-2020 can get you in touch with these volunteer driver programs. A private vehicle will pull up in your driveway. You can get in on a donation basis, or a fee-based approach can take you exactly where you want to go, to their front door and back, or to the storefront and back. And that seems to be one of the most popular things for folks who maybe perceive public transportation in the wrong way. It's not for them, it's for somebody else. In time, public transportation systems